Well, in the previous lectures, we have seen the need of the intrusion detection systems and what are the terminologies in the network security. Then we have moved on to the uh, security threats for the network. What are the different security threats? In how many ways they will pose? And the security threat, its description and defense we have seen. In this lecture, I'm going to explain the layered defense strategy that will be adopted in securing the networks. Basically, the first line of defense, which is called the cryptography and network security, is not sufficient to guard the entire network. So that is the reason here no single security measure can ensure complete network protection. In such cases, what we are supposed to do? Whenever one single measure is not sufficient, obviously we need to think of the alternatives. So at the same time, in thinking of these alternatives, the people have identified that it is better to use a layered defense mechanism so that it will be easy for the people to safeguard their assets. So, which is also called as a defense in depth. Here, how the onion layers were arranged, in the same way, a protected wrapper around the another one will be arranged. That is protected wrapper over another wrapper over another wrapper. Like that, it will be arranged so that the network will be protected from the intruders. So instead, assemble a group of methods that works coordination in the coordinated fashion. Instead of having a single method, let will go for planning of multiple methods so that they will work in coordination to safeguard the assets. This is also called as defense in depth. So here, layering approach to network security is the defense in depth means designed by National Security Agency (NSA) as a best practice strategy for achieving the information assurance. However, uh, because uh, because of the huge number of years of uh, slavery, usually Indians will totally focus on the Western education and Western things. But if we can think of our Indian mythologies, I don't want to say it as mythology, history, like Mahabharata and all, in which you will find so many security methods like this, such as Chakravyuh, Padmavyuh, like that you have so many things, which is also a kind of defense mechanism or a secured layered mechanism. That means if one layer was crossed by the enemies, then the second layer will protect the rest of the people. If the second layer was crossed, then third layer will do. So at any one level, the enemy's strength will decrease. Finally, they cannot enter into the main area. So this is what the general idea that we have, if we can observe from our history that was written thousands of years of back. So here also the same strategy to be followed, which is called defense in depth. So whenever the defense in depth was occurred or observed, just you recall the old war strategy called Padma. So here, this defense in depth usually will be having like this. In general, various layers of defenses will be like this, starting from the physical security to the final routing level security. Here, the physical security. The physical security, in a sense, safeguarding the assets in physical way. That means placing of lockers or something, etc. Next is authentication and password security, operating system security, then antivirus protection, packet filtering, then firewalls, then demilitarized zone, intrusion detection and prevention systems, virtual private networks, then network auditing and logging of the files, then finally routing and access control methods. You look at these are the layers of security. You look at physical security. If physical security is valid, is not properly maintained, then anyone can tamper physically the devices. Whenever anyone is trying to access the physical device, obviously they have to go into the authentication process. So unless until authentication is not valid, then they cannot enter into the system. Then next is operating system security. Once the authentication is done, then they will enter into the operating system. In operating system, there may be many services running. So the operating system must be in a position to identify any malicious activity that is happening. So this is possible to stop with the help of antiviruses. Even though sometimes antiviruses cannot detect fine-grained attacks. So for this, we'll go for the packet filtering. And this packet filtering, which packet to filter, which packet not to filter, and which packet to allow, will be done by the firewalls. After once this firewall is crossed, then it will enter into any traffic will enter into a zone called demilitarized zone. In general, this demilitarized zone will be dedicated for the public services. That means the services are servers that are publicly available to the users, like mail servers, web servers, or database servers. These kind of things will be placed in the demilitarized zone. Next one is once the demilitarized zone has been passed, then the traffic will be sniffed by the intrusion detection and prevention systems. Now, most of the traffic will be found at this level, but still some of the security threats will be available, such as man in the middle attack and this kind of things. So these kind of things cannot, a human-based things cannot be identified by the intrusion detection systems. Anyhow, if you place an intelligent intrusion detection system, it may detect, but by the time, some time will pass. But when the attack is happened immediately within the finite amount of time, or within no time, the attack should be in a position to detect. So in order to do that, or in order to safeguard from that, we are going to use the virtual private network. In the previous lecture, we have seen the virtual private network, which is a secured path between the source and destination, in which we'll use the authentication and encryption mechanism for transmitting of the data. Next is network auditing and log files. The operating system security can be achieved with the help of this is one way or one method in which we can assure the operating system security is by network auditing and logging of the files. That means, as we have seen in the last lectures also, that critical resources will always maintain logs. That may be a database log, or maybe operating system log, or maybe a server log. And a network server will totally monitor the network and maintains the log. So this auditing of this network log and OS logs will come to know that what are the processes which are taking long time and which are taking too many resources, etc., can be identified with this particular log inspection. Here, inspection and walkthrough, these two kind of things will be used in the logs. Inspection, in the sense, there will be a checklist. With the help of checklist, the administrator or a security engineer will cross-check whether the items in the checklist has been maintained or are available in the log or not. Walkthrough, in the sense, generally they will go for general checkups, like some specific ports need to be checked, some specific services need to be checked. So it is a general checkup kind of thing, which is called walkthrough. Inspection means there is a systematic checklist will be there. According to the checklist, the verification will happen. Next, finally, Obviously, the data, whenever the data has been sent, obviously they will make use of a routing protocol. With the help of the routing protocol only, the routing will take place. Here, routing in a sense, identifying of the path between source and destination. That means the communication may not be direct. Anyhow, it has to identify the nearest device to reach the destination. So, in process of identifying that path, it may pass through many devices. Finally, the content may be reached to the destination. This is what thing called routing means. So for this, we may use many routing protocols. These routing protocols depends and varies from the type of network that we use. If we can use the wired network, there are standard routing protocols available such as DSDV, AODV, and OLSR. These kind of protocols that can be used for both wired and wireless with some small modifications. So providing security for such routing protocols is also a layered defense mechanism that can be adopted. Once we provide the security for the routing, then we can also provide the security for the accessing of the resources. So that is possible with the help of the access control methods that we can incorporate. This will be done via perfectly planning the access control matrices. That means on the rows there are number of users, and on the columns there will be number of resources, whether what kind of permission to be allotted, whether the read permission, write permission, append permission, what kind of permission to be allotted, that will be mentioned in the matrix. So this is the way various levels of security will be maintained in any organization to safeguard the assets. Even after these many layers, still we have seen in the first lecture that the Computer Emergency Response Team of Government of India has projected in 2019 report that more than 3 lakh incidents was reported, especially related to the security attacks. So that means even after providing these many layers of layer defense mechanisms, still the attacks are possible. So that is the reason it is always a challenging task and also a evergreen subject. That is what the security and defense mechanism is. Now we'll see each layer one by one. The first layer is physical security. It refers to measures taken to physically protect a computer or other network devices. Physical security measures are like computer logs, lock protected rooms, or critical servers. For the critical servers, that means whenever the server room is there, that should be lock protected or some biometric protected or something should be done. And if any, in case of fire or accident, then the alarm should be blown there. So these kind of physical security measures must be mentioned or to be maintained. A computer can easily be compromised if a malicious intruder can physically access into that. So once you gain the physical access, it is not a big task for any intruder to damage the system or compromise the system. Next one is password security, that is authentication and password security. Password security is a simple strategy that we need to adopt in this. That means we have to maintain good passwords, some of sufficient length with mixed characters, etc. Select a good passwords, keep them secure, and change them as needed. Use different passwords for different applications. Don't use the same password for all applications, because whenever you use same password for all applications, then it is not a big task for the hacker. You may ask me that how the hacker will know. So obviously, in the last lecture we have seen the social engineering method. Via this social engineering method, any hacker will come to know that what are the different social engineering accounts, social media accounts that a person is having. Either he may be having Facebook account, or maybe Twitter account, or maybe Instagram account, or maybe any other account which are on the social media. So whenever he guesses, okay, these are the usernames of, or these are the email IDs, or these are the usernames with which this person is going to log in into this. So whenever you maintain same password, once if it is enough for the hacker, if he can crack one password of one user of one social media account, it is sufficient for him if the same password is maintained by all other social media accounts by a person. So in this way, we should not use the same password for all applications. We should use different passwords for different applications. Authentication, verifying and identify of user, services or computer uses three methods. Verify something a user knows. This is called basic authentication. That means it may be like what is your pet name, or what is your childhood school name, or what is your what is your date of birth, this kind of thing. So verify something a user has and verify something a user is. So these are the three different methods that we are supposed to adopt in any application for authentication purpose. That means verify something a user has. It is nothing but do you have any alternative email for recovery? Do you have a mobile phone for recovery for code to be sent? Like that. In large organizations, authentication is handled by centralized servers only. So that is the reason the centralized servers are the main target for the attackers. Once the centralized server was hacked, then it is not a big task for the hackers to get the data or information about entire organization. Next one is operating system security. The operating systems must be timely updated to protect from security flaws. So there is a joke on the Microsoft Windows operating system. It is periodically regulated, periodically updating. Too many updates. Every update will cost around 500 MB, 600 MB. That much huge number of updates will happen. But since the Windows 10 so far is among all the other Windows operating systems, Windows 10 is one which is the most secure operating system so far as of date today. So, so since they are providing that many security updates, let will welcome them. Let it be no problem. Just we'll wait for some time and we'll update the operating system by the end of the day, and we'll make our system secure. And at the same time, whenever you install a Linux operating system, it is always recommended to install a LTS operating system. LTS means long-term support. So a Linux operating system is with a LTS is always recommended to install, because a long-term support is nothing but if any problem occurs or security things were occurred, immediately the rectification will be done, and this support will be maintained for at least 5 years. So whenever you maintain the same version for at least 5 years, then after 5 years, that is up to your wish whether you want to continue it or not, or do you want to upgrade to the latest version. So this is called long-term support, LTS. So it is always recommended to use LTS in the Linux whenever you use or whenever you install the Linux system. So what is the advantage of this LTS or this Windows 10 professional or Windows 10 desktop versions? Is nothing but they are very secure, and protecting the operating system by, that is, they will protect the operating systems by installing the patches regularly, hot fixes, and service packs. So here hot fixes in the sense once you install the hot fixes, then it will create a restoration point first, then it will install the hotfix. That means once the hotfix is updated on the device, then you cannot go to the older versions. If something was gone wrong, the system will be collapsed there itself. So that is the reason a restoration point will be done, will be created first, then this hotfix will be installed. So OS program, what it will do is, if something wrong was happened with the hotfix, then it will ask you to recover to the older image. Then it will go to the older image. Where in case of patches and service packs are not like that. Service packs is complete upgradation. Hotfix is nothing but the same version but with no recovery, and patches are nothing but same version with can be taken out also. That is can be rolled back. Stop any unneeded services. You can do it via Control Alt Delete, and you can go to the services. Then there you can see how much which processor or which process is consuming how much resource, and disable guest accounts. Okay, because guest accounts are the one which are main threats for the attackers, main threats for the system, and also a favorite point for the attackers to enter into the system. So that reason, disable the guest accounts. And one more thing is, you may install many applications and uninstall many applications, but sometimes you will find your system is running very slow. So in such a cases, it is always recommended in case of Windows operating system, it is always recommended to install a Windows registry repair software and take the backup of your registry, Windows registry. That can be done via going to the Control R. That is, and from command, you can type the regedit, 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 and you can open the registry editor. And from there, you can take the backup of the registry. Then, using this Windows registry cleaners, you clean all the registries, the entire registry. Then you go for applying of the fixes. So that means once it go for searching or once it go for scanning through the entire registry, then usually this Windows registry repairs software will identify the broken links, broken registries, missing files, etc. And whenever all the searching or scanning is over, then it will ask you whether you want to fix the issues. Then you are supposed to click on the fixing of the issues so that all the issues will be resolved. From the next restart onwards, your system will work fine. So this is the way different applications will help us in boosting or in maintaining the health of the operating system. Next one is antivirus protection. Antivirus protection is also equally important as like our firewall and our intrusion detection. But here antivirus protection, first in this antivirus there are two categories will be there, offline and online. Online systems, online antiviruses will always give you the runtime environment. That is, they will work in the runtime environment. That means even though you copy any file from any pen drive to the disk or any place to any place, immediately it can smell whether that file is a virus file or a normal file. So that is what is called runtime environment. That is in the real environment that functions. That is called online. And nowadays the online definition may also change. You can say that only the client of antivirus will be sit on or installed on your computer. But for every virus checking or for everything to be checked or any file to be checked, you are supposed to link to the cloud, for which you need to have an internet connectivity. You need to go to the cloud server. From there, these files will be scanned with the virus definitions available on the cloud. So that is what the thing. That is what they call online or and real time. But in terms of offline, in the sense, unless until you provoke it, unless until you open it and go for searching of the files or scanning of the files for the virus infection, then they won't scan and they won't give you any report, which are called offline. So virus scanning examines file or email messages for indications that a virus are present. Viruses have suspicious file extensions. Basically, these file extensions will be of executable file or maybe any kind of executable file, maybe .pdf, .dox, docx or .pptx, maybe of any extension. Antivirus software uses virus signatures to detect viruses in your system. You look at here, this virus signatures in the sense a particular pattern of the signature, pattern of the virus. That means it is like a DNA of the virus. Okay, that means this particular virus will be having a binary code format like this. It will always start like this and will end like this. In middle, it will be having some coding format. So this is a standard signature. for the particular virus. So all the detected viruses so far will be having a standard signature. We can also call it as a DNA of the particular virus. So all these DNAs or all these structures will be loaded into the signature database of a corresponding virus. So when any other file with the same pattern was detected, then immediately it will raise an alarm that so and so file is infected, and do you want to quarantine, or do you want to remove the file, or do you want to continue with that file? So this kind of options will be asked to the user by the antivirus software. So it is up to the user to take a call whether to continue it further or not. If you are suspicious about the file, then it is always recommended not to download or not to run the file on the operating system. If you might have run the file on the operating system with the administrative privileges, if the file is really a virus file, then no one can help you at any cost. So that is the reason it is always recommended to main to verify the warnings given by the antivirus systems before proceeding further. So you should constantly update the virus signatures. Otherwise, what will happen if you are using outdated signatures? Then, if recently evolved viruses cannot be detected by the antivirus. So the reason frequently this virus signature has to be detected. In the last lecture, we have seen scripting. This scripting, especially the attackers will use that scripting technique to avoid this signature pattern. Okay, if the standard tools have been used, then the standard tools sometimes will be having a fixed signature. Okay, it will generate for example, in the penetration testing, we use a tool called metasploit. In the metasploit, there is a feature called MSF, that is Metasploit Framework Venom. So this MSF Venom is a command used for creating a Venom file or a virus file that can be launched, that can be placed on the target computer for exploitation. Basically, this MSF Venom will create a Venom file with a particular fixed pattern. Okay, this pattern will be, if you can go through the scanning through any antivirus, immediately any antivirus can detect it, because that is a fixed pattern, or the DNA of that venom is fixed, and this DNA is already available in the virus signature database. So antivirus signature databases, this particular thing is already available. So that is the reason this antivirus software, so we can easily detect such kind of venom files. But here the penetration tester is using the Metasploit and MSF Venom, which is an open source tool. Because of that, he is unable to use the file to inject into the device, the target computer, because of the presence of antivirus over there. Okay. How to overcome this situation? The only possibility is write your own script. Okay, write your own script and go to the VirusTotal website. There you place your file and check the file, for the presence of the virus or not in that file, whether that file can be detected as a virus or not. So this VirusTotal, what it will do is it will check the file. A file will be checked with at least more than 60 antivirus softwares. Okay, it will compare with the more than 60 antivirus signature databases. That means if your file was not detected by any of the virus signature database, then you have written a brand new virus, and which is called a venom file that can be used happily to inject into any computer. So this is the way how the attackers will write their own script for building the viruses. So firewalls and IDPs are not enough to protect these or to protect from the viruses. So that is the reason writing the own script, usually the writing the own script for developing the viruses sometimes may not be caught by the firewalls and IDPs also. you should install antivirus softwares in host and all network computers to have better detection of the antivirus, better detection of the viruses on the network. Next, packet filtering. Usually, the data will be transmitted over the packets. That means the packets are the main medium of transmitting the data. So, block or allow the transmission of packets based on the port number, IP address, protocol information, some type of packet filters like a routers, operating system, that is filtering at the router level, filtering at the operating system level, and filtering at the firewall level. So these are the different packet filters that are available and to be adopted in any organization for safeguarding the data entering into the system. Here, system means here it may be a single computer or maybe a entire network. Okay, so you may, whenever I say system, then according to the resource point of view, you must consider it. That means according to the context point of view, you have to take care of this. Whether system means a single system or maybe a entire network. So here port number, IP address, protocol information. Okay? These are the things that are required for handling the packet filtering. Well, this is the packet filtering. Next, we'll move on to the next layer, which is called firewalls. So installing and configuring a firewall is the foundation of organizations' overall security policy. Configuring the firewall in a better way can avoid 80 to 90% of the attacks that are coming into the organization. Permissive versus restrictive policies. Here there are two kind of policies can be adopted in the firewall. In firewalls, whatever the rules that you write are called as policies. Where in case of antiviruses, those are said to be signatures. Okay. Where in case of intrusion detection system, those are said to be rules. Depending upon the technology layer that what you adopt, the terminology changes a little bit. But overall, everything is a rule that we are going to write here. Here, policies are two categories: permissive versus restrictive policies. Permissive means you will allow some services to enter into the system, and where in case of restrictive policies, permanently you will restrict some services. That means here permissive allow all traffic through the gateway and then blocks the services on case by case. Where in case of restrictive denies all traffic by default and then allow services on case by case. Next one is enforcement is handled primarily through setting of packet filtering rules. That is what we have seen the previous way. That means, for example, any service is coming for requesting 8080 port. So what is the IP address it is coming into? What is the port number it is requesting for? What is the protocol information that it is focusing on? These three must be verified, and this policy must be included in the firewall. Then only you can make it as a permissive or restrictive. So here permissive, restrictive in the sense here unknown host. From unknown host also some traffic will come. From the business partner also the traffic will come, and it will allow everything. Okay, firewall block all the traffic by default in the restrictive mode. In the permissive mode it will allow all the traffic. Then it will block the specified traffic. Okay, only I want to block the traffic from so and so IP address. Okay, so and so IP address. If it is operated from so and so time, then it is will be permissive. The restrictive means it will completely block all the items. Then only after entering into this organization server, then that is what we call gateway here. Whenever it enter into the gateway of the organization, then it will allow the specific business partner. Okay, only the specific business partner will be allowed to access the internal network. Remaining all other things will be restricted. We'll see whenever we discuss the firewalls concept later in the course, how to design or how to write our own policies, how to write policies in the Windows firewalls and also in the Linux firewalls. Next one is demilitarized zone. Network that sits outside the internal network. DMZ is connected to the firewall. So the DMZ is always like this. There is a outer firewall, a demilitarized zone, and internal firewall. Okay, that is between two different firewalls. This demilitarized zone will reside. Make services like HTTP and FTP publicly available. That means whatever the services that are publicly available will be placed in the demilitarized zone. While protecting the internal LAN, this particular demilitarized zone will be used. It might also contain the DNS server, which is also a public server that need to be required to resolve the website names and domain names, etc. So DNS servers resolve the domain names to IP addresses, but obviously it can be sometimes publicly available. So this DNS server is also will be placed in the DMZ zone. The DMZ zone is sometimes also called as service network or perimeter network. The DMZ zone will be like this. You look at here. This is the organizational gateway. Before the organizational gateway, the firewall will be there. After this firewall, once the firewall is crossed, then this particular demilitarized zone will come into the picture. You look at web, FTP, DNS. All these three are the publicly available services. That means if you place http:// and the domain name, automatically this website will be opened. If you place a website FTP:// and the address, automatically the FTP should be opened. So this DMZ consisting of the public resources, always this DMZ will be placed after the firewall. So no DMZ will be placed before the firewall. After, if you want to make more security, if you want to incorporate more security, then after this DMZ also, before this switch, you can place another firewall, which is called internal firewall. And then this particular firewall becomes the outer firewall, and the firewall that we will place before the switch or after the switch is said to be the internal firewall. So this is the way of filtering will happen when DMZ is placed. We will see in detail how the DMZs will be designed and in what way the DMZ, in how many ways the DMZs can be structured when we discuss the DMZ concept in the course in detail. Next, come to the main topic, that is the intrusion detection systems and prevention systems. Use of an IDPS offers an additional layer of protection, works by recognizing the sign of possible attacks, notifies the administrator. Some traffic can trigger a response that attempts to actively combat the threats. Intrusion prevention, which is also called as. Sign of possible attacks are called as signatures. Combination of the IP addresses, port number, and frequency of access attempts occurred. Based on that, these signatures will be developed. Basically, the IDPS will be placed immediately after the firewalls. Okay, so at the firewall level itself, the IDPS will be placed so that it can monitor the traffic after filtering from the firewall before entering into the DNS. This particular, if any suspicious activity was identified, then immediately here itself, at this level itself, it will raise an alarm so that security administrators can look for that malfunctioning or wrong signature pattern and can identify the traffic which is entering into the demilitarized zone or in the public domain, public services. Thereby, you can stop the entering of the malicious traffic into the networks. So that is IDPS. We'll see in how many ways we can design and we can place the IDPS in an organization when we go for detailed analysis of this IDPS. Then next one is virtual private networks. Already we have seen a basic idea of this VPN previously. Anyhow, a VPN is a network that uses the public telecommunication infrastructure to provide secure access to corporate assets for remote users, provide a low cost and secure connection that uses the public interest. Alternative to expensive leased lines provides point-to-point communication. So this VPN will provide the point-to-point communication. Use authentication to verify user's identity and encryption for the encapsulating of the end traffic. These are the features that are available in this VPN. Next one is network auditing and logging of the files. Auditing in the sense checking or verifying the log that is happening in the operating system. That is, which process is running from how much time, and which process is consuming how much resource. These kind of things will be identified in this logging. Recording which computer are accessing in a network and what resources are being accessed. Information is recorded in a log file. Basically, this log file is a very huge file. We can also consider as a big data. We can also consider as this over a period of time. If a server is recording a log for at least 1 year, then it is a very huge data. It will cross in the terabytes also sometimes. So reviewing and maintaining log files help you detect suspicious patterns of activity. Example, regular and unsuccessful connections attempts that occur at the same time each day that can be identified with the log files. You can set up rules to block attacks based on the logged information from previous attack attempts. So these are the things that you can make to avoid or to detect some intruders or malicious traffic into the network. Network auditing and logging, in that again, log file analysis, tedious and time consuming task the log file analysis is, but because of this big data analytics and big data big data sciences, etc., this somewhat becoming easier task, but still analyzing the log of over a 6 months period or 3 months period when there are around thousands of computers connected to a server is a very difficult task. Record and analyze rejected connections requests, sort logs by time of day and per hour. Then the the inspection will be done by performing the sorting and all. Check logs during peak traffic time and use to identify services that consume bandwidth. Especially this will be done during the by the electronic commerce servers during the festival seasons like Great Indian Sale or Diwali sale or this kind of thing. At the time, huge traffic will come. There is peak traffic time will be there. That is a huge traffic time of around 1 week or 5 days. So at the time, the security engineers cannot sleep for at least 1 week or 10 days, because if any small breakdown also will cause a huge loss to the organization. So they will hire and they will charge the security engineers to the maximum extent. Charge in the sense here they will pay the remuneration, very good remuneration they will pay at the time. So configuring log files to record system events, security events, traffic events, or packets that is coming into the system. So all these will be recorded in the log files, and basically to record these events, especially the log file configuration must be made or to be designed. So graphic display of log file entries like this, see here, events, severity graph, top 10 source IP graphs. So these are the various graphs that are projected in the destination in the system. So this log analysis, SAX2 is a tool actually which is going to do this log analysis. Routing and access control methods. Finally, the router at the perimeter of the network are critical to the movement of all the network traffic, can be equipped with their own firewall software. So you look at here at the router level also there is firewall software. Attackers exploit open points of entry such as vulnerable services, email gateways, and porous borders. An attacker that might discover a port that a computer has left open, it is not being used. This kind of things will be identified with the help of these routers at the perimeter level. So it is always better to close the ports which are not in use. So that is the responsibility of the security engineer to do. Whenever they do it, then maximum we can prevent from the network security attacks. Next is three models of access control in the routing and access control methods. Mandatory access control, which is called all access capabilities are defined in advance. Discretionary access controls allows the user to share information with the other users, give users for more flexibility and accessing of the information. It is just like in university server. In file server, students don't have access to upload any file, but however faculty have the access to upload the file. So this like this mandatory access control and discretionary access control. The role-based access controls, depending upon the role. Okay, if you are a student, you cannot enter, you cannot upload it. If you are a faculty, you can upload it. Even administrator, even the office people cannot enter the files into the system. Only the higher level authorities like registrar or dean or this kind of people can enter or upload the files into the server. So limits the access by job functions and job responsibilities. So violation of any of this access control will be recorded in the log. Again, during the auditing of the log, we can discover the misuse that happened in this access control, which is also called misuse detection. IDPSS will also work on the misuse detection that we'll see in the later lectures. So the impact of defense, cost of securing the system can be increased. Cost of security benches can be much higher. Support from upper management is also equally important. Even though you're a good security engineer with a good number of professional certificates, but if the top management is not supporting your decisions, then we cannot do anything. Securing systems will require money, time, and these are the general things. Downtime for the network, always downtime for the network must be reduced at most to 0. Okay, support from the upper management is also equally important. So in summary, we have seen in this network defense fundamentals, starting from the terminology of the network security, then we moved on to the threats of the networks, threats that are most commonly occurred in the networks, computer networks and internet. Then we have moved on to the layered defense mechanism, which is also called defense in depth. So with this chapter is completed. Next, we will move on to the attacks and security attacks that will happen that are possible on each and every layer of the TCP/IP and ISO protocol stack. Once we understand the attack patterns, then we'll see how to capture the traffic and how to identify such traffic patterns, that is attack patterns in the traffic.